All right, joining me now is Russ Vought, Center for Renewing America president and former Office of Management and Budget Director. Russ, good to see you. Listen, I always think in politics it's really important to be honest, but is Joe Biden here downplaying the possibility of a recession because of midterms, or do you think it's the job of the president to talk up the economy?
He's clearly downplaying the threat that their administration, that we all are facing with regard to the economy. He has been loath to level with the American people. The whole administration from day one has thought that they could get away with just spinning their version of reality. And ultimately, that has gotten them to the place where they are in right now, which is they don't have any other way out. And so if they have an opportunity to either look like they know what they're doing and be ahead of the curve for the first time, but they also can't hit the panic button. And unfortunately, with where we are headed towards a recession if we're not already in it. I think if you talk to most small businesses, most grocery shoppers, most people looking at their 401k, they think we're already in a recession, and they're just waiting for the next shoe to drop.
You know, Russ, I would argue that his policies are the cause. Joe Biden's policies are the cause of the recession, all of the borrowing and spending. And I don't expect the president to come out and admit his failures with all the spending. But it's interesting. He's saying actually the economy, the American economy, is stronger than it would have been but for this massive spending spree he's gone on over the last 2 years.
I mean, it's a ludicrous belief on his part to think that this is a stronger economy than the one that the Trump administration was leaving. And we had dealt with historic issues, and yet we were having a V-shaped recovery that was putting us on the road to record growth. And what happened was the Biden administration came in and put a ton more spending that was not necessary, and that just overrode the circuits from a financial standpoint and put us in this predicament, and at the same time have bad economic policies like tax increases, anti-energy regulatory policies, and we are where we are because of what they have done to this country.
You know, Russ, looking at the producer price index numbers that came out, you had food surge 1.2%. You had energy, looking at home heating oil and natural gas that families are going to use to heat their homes, surging 0.7%. I mean, this is going to have a massive impact on the American family as we start to roll in to these winter months.
Not only that, but shelter continues to be high and a huge part of the CPI, which we're going to see tomorrow. So yes, this is having a real impact. And so for him to go out there saying we don't have a recession, I also think it's a little tone deaf given the fact of what people are seeing every time they buy anything. When you have fruits and vegetables going up, which we've seen in this last meter, people are seeing problems everywhere they go, and they're not just looking as to whether certain officials are saying officially we have a recession.
You know, on an annualized basis, inflation up 8.5%. Put a Fed hat on. I know you don't have one, but put a Fed hat on. How does the Fed read these numbers? We don't see a dampening of inflation. We see it actually picking up, at least at the wholesale level.
Yeah, I don't think the Fed is going to take these indicators and change course. At least that's my assessment. They do not seem to want to go and copy the 1970s where they increase and then decrease. They seem to want to stay the course. And if they were incredibly late to the game, they seem to have lost any ability to know how inflation is caused and to believe that somehow history had changed and economic fundamentals could be thrown out the window. That seems to have changed, and they have their inflation fighting hats on, and I think they need to keep at it and not be in a situation where the market thinks that if they have a little bit of uproar that they can have the Fed change course, because we've got to have a return to rationality with regard to our economic and monetary policies, and I think we're in that moment right now, moving in that direction. Hopefully the Biden administration doesn't continue to make their job harder.
You know, a little Fed pain in the short run is going to give us a little bit of relief in the long run. I hope they stick to their guns. But I want to get your take, Russ. President Biden interviewed by CNN's Jake Tapper. Listen to what he had to say about his presidency so far.
Look what I've gotten done. Name me a president in recent history that's gotten as much done as I have in the first 2 years. Not a joke. You may not like what I got done, but the vast majority of the American people do like what I got done. And so it's a matter of, can you do the job? And I believe I can do the job. I've been able to do the job. I've gotten more done. I got the Inflation Reduction. I got all these pieces of legislation passed.
Russ, a majority of Americans like what he's done. His poll numbers are at like 39 to 41%. They hate what he's done. They hate the results of his policies. And I think we're going to see the results of that on November 8th.
And I think there's a grain of truth in what he said, in the sense that no president in history, certainly in my lifetime, has increased the size and scope of the federal government, but increasingly woke and weaponized in a way that's against the American people. And so I don't think we've seen such a scale over a 2-year period. And so we are living in a different America than we were just a short period of time. And I think that's why his poll numbers are so poor. And I think that's why you're right that in November we are going to see the cavalry come to take this country back.
You know, Russ, it's amazing how fast an economy can change in just 2 years with bad leadership. Listen, I appreciate you joining me today. Russ Vought, thank you.